Good afternoon. I'm Tom Pollard. Came to Lincoln in 1841 with my bride, Mary Ann Pollard. We walked, she rode actually with her brother in a wagon, and I walked from Nashua where we were married. The last day here from Bristol, 38 miles, I walked the whole distance, all the way. When we got here, there was nothing but a shack that we had bought, thinking it was a house. You wouldn't even put a horse in it today. Anyway, we spent the first year there. Never saw anyone for a year. Finally, the second year we were there, a gentleman came by and bought 50 bushels of apples, $5. I felt like a millionaire, real rich. Then as things went on, we built a house. We had 3 kids. Roanne, who's in Woodstock, she was married to Brown. They had 12 children. Dura Pollard, and Dura got his name Dura Pratt Pollard from the preacher who married us in Nashua, whose name was Dura Pratt. Well, Dura Pratt was the second, the boy, and he had 3 children. And then William was my great-grandfather. He had 4 girls. And in this picture here, the little girl in Grammy Pollard's lap is my grandmother. Anyway, they built the house, and then they rented rooms, $1 a night. Mostly sportsmen came to visit. And when Thomas, well, me, he peddled his wares all around town here, jackknives, handkerchiefs, needles, pins. Then when the railroad came up here from Nashua, he was able to get down there, and one day he could have his lunch down there. And he peddled spruce gum. Of course, back then it was all virgin spruce up here. He cut the spruce gum and he'd sell it. I think his biggest deal was $1.25 a pound. Cheapest was 25 cents a pound. So anyway, he did that, and he traveled around with 2 boxes of his knives and stuff and peddled them. And he had what is now, I guess, the Farmer's Almanac. He peddled that every December. Everybody who was farming had to have one of them. So that's pretty much his early story. And then he went on farming, had the apple orchard. And you know where it is where the common man is now. That was the farm. And it got burned in '96, and they rebuilt it as what it is now. But it was the oldest house in Lincoln, other than Dearborn's, which is up on Church Street. I don't know what else I can tell you about Tom. He came here. The church actually was right over there. That's why the cemetery's here, I believe. The Baptist church was there, and it is now up in North Woodstock by the Soldiers Park. They moved it in 1890, I believe, and added on to it. But he was here every Sunday, brought his lunch, went to church morning and afternoon, and then they stopped the afternoon service. He didn't like that. He said the whole day should be for God, not half a day and then devil the other half. And that's the way he was anyway. But that's pretty much of what I can tell you about him.
Was this house near the Common Man site now?
That was, the Common Man was that house, or that house is the Common Man now. But in '96, some guy came through here and he burned it. He burned a couple of things up in Clothespin. Well, we called it Clothespin up in North Lincoln. But back, and Dura and William, my great-grandfather, and Dura, his brother, they used to guide these people who come up to hunt and fish, and they'd take them 3 miles up to Loon Pond, which was a 50-acre pond, and they'd take them there to fish, and then they'd walk up onto Loon Mountain to look down over the valley. And back in the day, they said that house was the best house for viewing moose lock, and didn't have names on a lot of the mountains. But that's what they did. People rented and rooms for the night. Any questions?
Is that where Pollard Brook, the name Pollard Brook?
Pollard Brook and Pollard Road, yeah, came from.
So you said something about clothespins. Did they make clothespins at that mill?
Yeah. Well, Henry, I don't want to get into Henry because that'd go on forever. But Henry Log took all the spruce, and he didn't have anything to do with the hardwood, so he conned some outfit from Pennsylvania to come up here and make clothespins.
Right, Pennsylvania was like...
Yeah, and they made clothespins, well, you know where the Nordic is? Right down over from the Nordic. That's where the clothespin factory was. But I can go on about Henry's all day, but... And I don't think the Pollards and the Henrys really got along. Pollard was all about the environment. Henry's all about clear cutting it.
So I have another question
How it happened? Do you know what was the motivation behind your ancestors to come here? Why they choose to come here?
To come to Lincoln?
Yes.
That's a good question, because they were in Nashua. The Pollards originally were from Billerica, Mass. Tom somehow came into New Hampshire, Nashua, New Hampshire. And it says in the history that when him and Mary Ann married, they set their eyes to the north, and they came up here, probably to get away from all that, like everybody still does today. I don't know, though. But.
I have a question. You had mentioned that the house was a shack and it wasn't like, did they know what they were buying?
No, I don't think they did.
Oh, okay, so they just heard there was a property up there with a house on it and
Yeah,
they purchased?
and they ended up staying in that for a year, or maybe more than a year, probably weathered it in some. But they said in the history that the wind, the snow, the rain, everything blew right through it.
Oh, my God.
And so,
How old were they when they died? How?
I think they're in their 80s. Tom was 84. Mary Ann was 88. Mary Ann, I think she was 10 years older than Tom. And then this is William, that's my great-grandfather. And I have other relatives back there too, Stricklands.
Oh, so
But the
you're
Pollards,
actually related. Okay, very good.
yeah, the Stricklands. Well, it came down through, I better not go on here too long, but the Stricklands, Donahues, Conns, Dorans, Donahue, Conn, Doran, there was one other one too. But there's not many of them here now. My mother's still here, she's 97. She was a Strickland. But I tell you a quick thing on Stricklands. Archie Strickland and Ed Strickland were brothers. Ed was my grandfather. Archie was his brother. Mary Ann was my grandmother, Great Pollard. Stella Pollard was her sister. Brothers married sisters. And we just had a guy in town come down who's a descendant of Stella, who's back there, and Archie. And we talked to him last week. He's coming back next week. He's in Missouri. And there's rules been here that are related to us. They're from, where are they? I think they were from California. They're down with the Pollards. But Roanne had 12 kids. So, and she was married to George Brown. They're in the other cemetery. And so we're into Sawyers, Browns. There's 2 or 3 other family names that we're in with. And that's how it all came to be, most of it through Roanne. And Dura left earlier than William. Dura went to Bridgewater and lived. Dura and his wife, she was a Russell, Addie Russell. And I think she's a Russell from Russell Farm, but I'm not sure of that. We didn't get into that too much. So, and his wife, Adelaide, my great-grandmother, she came from Nova Scotia. I've been up there, and her people came on a boat named the Betty in 1753 from the foothills of the French Alps, Mont Blanc, White Mountain, to Nova Scotia. And then she migrated down here, and her and William got married in Thornton.
But originally, the immigration was from England, Little Ireland, no Italian names, no Eastern European names. It's all English, basically.
Well, Venat, she was Adelaide was a Venat. It's French.
A lot of French
Canadians.
And they went up the Rhine River to Germany and then came over in that boat, the Betty, her people.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
Oh, I gotta cut it.